Once upon a time in the world of science, cancer was believed to be a disease of genetic chaos. A storm of mutations, a cascade of genomic instability. Doctors and researchers searched tirelessly for that elusive master switch, the single mutation or constellation of mutations that could explain it all. But the more they searched, the more the puzzle deepened. No researcher can point to any single mutation or combination of mutations and say with confidence that it is alone the cause of cancer, wrote Travis Christofferson in Tripping Over the Truth, a book that dared to question the dominant narrative. Nor can researchers point to a series of cellular systems rendered dysfunctional by mutations and make the same claims with confidence. The idea that cancer is only a genetic disease had taken firm root. After all, the Human Genome Project promised to unlock the secrets of life, and with it perhaps a cure for cancer. But as gene after gene was discovered, mapped, and scrutinized, the picture became more complex, not less. Cancer's origins remained stubbornly elusive. Even James Watson, the famed co-discoverer of the double helix and a pillar of genetic science, began to change his tune. In a bold 2009 op-ed in the New York Times, he suggested that perhaps we had been looking in the wrong place. We may have to turn our main research focus away from decoding the genetic instructions behind cancer and toward understanding the chemical reactions within cancer cells, he wrote. In other words, maybe cancer was not simply a disease of damaged DNA, but of dysfunctional metabolism. There's something mysterious, almost poetic, about the fact that cancer can be triggered by so many seemingly unrelated factors: radiation, toxins, viruses, chronic inflammation, and more. That such a specific and deadly process could arise from so many different triggers was dubbed the oncogenic paradox by Nobel laureate Albert Szent-Györgyi, and the paradox remains unresolved to this day. But what if the answer lay not in the genetic code itself, but in the cell's powerhouse, the mitochondria? Nearly a century ago, in 1927, a brilliant German scientist named Otto Warburg noticed something strange about cancer cells. Unlike healthy cells that rely on the efficient energy production of oxidative phosphorylation in mitochondria, cancer cells seem to abandon this pathway. Instead, they consumed enormous amounts of glucose and fermented it into lactate, even in the presence of oxygen. This unusual behavior, known as aerobic glycolysis, was later dubbed the Warburg effect. Warburg proposed that the real cause of cancer wasn't genetic damage but a fundamental defect in cellular respiration. In 1931, he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Medicine and Physiology for this discovery. Cancer, above all other diseases, has countless secondary causes, Warburg wrote, but even for cancer, there is one prime cause. Summarized in a few words, the prime cause of cancer is the replacement of the respiration of oxygen in normal body cells by the fermentation of sugar. Fast forward to the 21st century, and Dr. Thomas Seyfried, a modern pioneer in metabolic oncology, picked up where Warburg left off. In his extensive research, Seyfried proposed that cancer is not primarily a genetic disease, but a metabolic one, rooted in mitochondrial dysfunction. According to Seyfried, the impaired mitochondria in cancer cells fail to produce energy via oxidative phosphorylation, forcing the cell to rely on glucose fermentation. This energy crisis then triggers a cascade of secondary effects, including the mutations we commonly associate with cancer. In this model, the genetic chaos is not the cause, but the consequence. And there's compelling evidence to support him. Studies show that tumor mitochondria are often structurally deformed and functionally impaired. When healthy mitochondria are introduced into cancerous cells, through experiments creating cybrids, cytoplasmic hybrids, the cancerous behavior can be reversed. Even when nuclei from cancer cells are transplanted into normal cytoplasm, the resulting cells can behave normally, despite harboring cancer-associated genetic mutations. This suggests something profound. Healthy mitochondria can suppress tumorigenicity. Moreover, many viruses known to be associated with cancer, including EBV, HPV, HCV, and even SARS-CoV-2, have been found to target mitochondria, disrupting their function. Could it be that their cancer-causing potential lies not just in their interaction with DNA, but in their ability to sabotage cellular energy production? If cancer is indeed a metabolic disease, the implications are enormous. It would mean that therapies aimed at correcting cellular metabolism, rather than targeting DNA, might offer new hope. Already, some treatments aim to starve cancer cells of glucose or exploit their unique metabolic weaknesses. Tumor imaging techniques like PET scans, which use labeled glucose analogs, are already based on cancer's appetite for sugar. It also means that prevention strategies might need to shift focus towards lifestyle, nutrition, mitochondrial health, and reducing environmental toxins that impair energy metabolism. Our cells are not defenseless. When something goes terribly wrong, they have a built-in self-destruct button, apoptosis, or programmed cell death. This system is tightly regulated by a balance between pro- and anti-apoptotic factors. Interestingly, many metabolic therapies, like calorie restriction, ketogenic diets, or certain drugs, are known to enhance apoptotic pathways. They don't just kill cancer cells, they help reawaken the cell's own self-regulation systems. So what if the cure for cancer has been hidden not in the genome, but in the mitochondria all along? The story of cancer is not yet finished, but perhaps by returning to the forgotten truths of Warburg and building upon the insights of researchers like Seyfried, we can chart a new path forward, one that sees cancer not just as a disease of genes, but of energy, metabolism, and the quiet collapse of cellular respiration. In this new light, the war on cancer doesn't just become a fight against rogue DNA, it becomes a journey to restore balance, energy, and life to the very heart of our cells.